All right, are you ready to dive deep into some music that seriously pushes boundaries? I'm talking about music that challenges conventions and makes you think. Today, we're going to explore the world of transgender and intersex artists.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating
And
exploration.
we're not just going to skim the surface.
No, no, no.
We're going deep thanks to this super interesting article from TATANKA.
Oh, I love TATANKA.
I know, right? It's a site that seems to be all about music, but with a real purpose.
Definitely. They focus on highlighting indigenous voices.
Yeah.
And they have this amazing list of 10 essential albums by transgender and intersex artists.
10. Wow.
Yeah. And we're going to break down what makes these albums so powerful, like musically and culturally.
Okay, I'm so here for this.
Me too.
So let's jump right in with 𝗓𝗓𝗔𝗓𝗓 Hopelessness. Now, this album tackles some heavy topics, right? War, climate change.
Big stuff.
Big stuff. But here's the thing that really caught my eye. She does it all through electronic soundscapes. I mean, it's not the first thing you'd think of for those kinds of themes.
Right. But it's so effective. Like, Anani uses those electronic sounds to create this feeling of urgency, you know?
Yeah.
It's like the music itself is a reflection of the issues she's singing about.
Okay, so it's not just like background music. It's adding a whole other layer of meaning.
Exactly.
Got it. Well, Drone Bomb Me, the track they highlighted, is definitely going on my listening queue.
Yeah. You'll have to let me know what you think.
Okay, next up, we've got Sophie's Oil of Every Pearl's Uninsides. Now, they mentioned something called hyperreal sounds in the article, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a little stumped.
Hyper-real sounds. Yeah, I see why that might be confusing. Okay, think of it this way.
Okay.
Sophie takes sounds, we're familiar with vocals, rhythms, textures, and then, like, warps them, you know. She distorts them. It creates something that's both beautiful and a little unsettling at the same time. Yeah, it's like she's pushing the boundaries of what we even consider music.
So kind of like stepping into this digital dreamscape where real and artificial get all mixed up.
That's a great way to put it. It's definitely futuristic and mind-bending.
Sounds intense.
It is. If you want to hear a good example, check out 𝗧𝗕𝗓𝗋.
𝗧𝗕ᗕᗓ, got it.
Okay, moving on. We've got Mickey Blanco.
Oh, yes. Blending rap and punk on their album Mickey. I have to hear this. Rap and punk, that's not a combo you hear every day. What's the vibe like?
Well, Mickey Blanco is all about, like, pushing back against expectations, societal norms, and their music totally reflects that rebellious spirit.
I bet.
The article specifically mentioned High School Never Ends as a really powerful critique of, you know, those expectations and pressures we face growing up.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that whole trying to fit in thing, I get it. This is why I love these deep dives, by the way.
Me too.
Always uncovering musical gems I'd probably never find on my own. All right, shifting gears a bit, we've got Shay Diamond with Seen It All. And it's described as a journey from hardship to resilience. Musically, it's a blend of gospel, blues, and soul, which, I mean...
Talk about emotional depth.
Right.
Shay Diamond's music is so powerful because it draws on their own life experiences with hardship and injustice.
Yeah.
So it's raw, honest, and ultimately it's a testament to the strength of the human spirit.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I Am America, that's the one to check out, right?
Definitely.
Okay, next up is Angel Hayes with Back to the Woods. And this album delves into some, pretty heavy stuff. Trauma, self-reclamation. The article describes their lyrics as raw and their flow as intense.
Yeah. Angel Hayes' music is definitely not for the faint of heart. It's confrontational, emotional, but also incredibly powerful. It's about facing those dark parts of yourself and, finding a way to heal.
Wow, that's deep. Now, for something a little different, Ezra Furman with Transangelic Exodus, it's described as this blend of rock, folk, and punk.
Yeah.
And knowing Ezra Furman, I bet there's some serious storytelling going on in this album.
Oh, absolutely. Ezra Furman is an amazing storyteller, and this album is no exception. It's this big narrative about love, survival, resistance.
Yeah. Whoa.
And they weave it all together with this unique blend of musical influences. If you want a good intro to their style, check out Love You So Bad.
Love You So Bad. All right. Added to the list. Next, we've got 𝗓𝗏 with Kick You. And apparently 𝗓𝗏 defies categorization, which honestly makes me even more curious.
Yeah, no, it's exciting, isn't it?
It is. The article mentions Latin influences mixed with experimental sounds. This sounds like it's going to be a wild ride.
𝗓𝗏 is all about pushing the boundaries of what we even consider music. It's experimental, avant-garde. You can't easily put it in the box.
I can't wait to hear this. What track do they recommend checking out?
Non-binary. It seems to be a big part of their exploration of identity and self-expression.
Okay, non-binary. Onto the list it goes. All right, moving on to a band that some listeners might already know. Against Me, with their album Transgender Dysphoria Blues. I've heard a lot about this one.
Oh yeah, this is an album that really digs into the realities of gender dysphoria. Laura Jane Grace's lyrics are so raw and honest, and the music has this punk rock edge that just drives the message home.
I can imagine that being super powerful, really moving. Any track that really stands out to you?
Definitely check out True Trans Soul Rebel. It's like an anthem of self-acceptance and defiance.
Love it. Okay, let's switch things up and bring in some energy and joy with Big Freedia's Just Be Free. Bounce music, freedom, self-acceptance. This sounds like a party I want to be at.
It totally is. Big Freedia's music is all about letting loose and embracing who you are. It's infectious, energetic,
Yeah,
guaranteed to get you moving.
I bet. The article highlighted Explode, and yeah, I can only imagine the energy in that track.
Oh, it's amazing.
Okay, last but definitely not least, we have Dorian Electra with Flamboyant, using pop and satire to explore gender fluidity.
It's brilliant.
Count me in.
Dorian Electra's music is so clever and thought-provoking. They use pop music to challenge norms and explore gender in a way that's really fun and engaging.
I love that. So which track do they recommend?
Well, it has to be Flamboyant,
Yeah.
right? It really captures their unique style.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Wow, this has been an amazing musical journey already.
I know.
We've gone from electronic soundscapes tackling climate change to bounce music celebrating freedom. It's amazing to see the range of genres and themes these artists are exploring.
It really shows the depth and diversity within this community, but there's another layer to this deep dive that we need to explore. TATANKA also included this really moving story about a fictional artist named Raven.
Raven.
Yeah, she's both transgender and intersex.
Okay.
And even though she's not a real person, her journey, I think, speaks volumes about the challenges and triumphs that a lot of artists in this community face.
So it's like using fiction to shine a light on real-world experiences.
Exactly. Are you ready to dive into Raven's story?
Absolutely. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, so where does Raven's story begin?
Well, it starts in a small town, a place that, didn't really understand her or accept her for who she was,
Yeah.
being both transgender and intersex.
Right.
Raven always felt like she didn't quite fit in.
I bet. Man, I can only imagine how isolating that must have been. Especially like in a place that's supposed to be home, you know?
Exactly. And for Raven, music became like her sanctuary.
Her escape.
Yeah, her way of expressing all those feelings she just couldn't put into words.
It's like music gave her a voice when she felt silenced, by the world around her.
Yeah. The article mentions how her voice, usually like quiet and reserved in everyday life,
Okay.
would completely transform when she sang. It became powerful, expressive, full of emotion.
Whoa. That's so cool. It's like music can be so transformative, almost like stepping into another version of yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But her journey wasn't like all sunshine and roses,
Right.
As she started sharing her music more, trying to find her place in the music world, she faced a lot of resistance.
I can see
A
that.
lot of people who just didn't get it.
Yeah. I can see that happening even today. It takes a lot of courage to be open about your identity, especially when it challenges what people expect.
It does. And that's what's so powerful about Raven's story.
Yeah.
She faced doubt. She was questioned.
Right.
She felt isolated because of who she was.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Even though some people couldn't fully grasp her experiences, as a transgender and intersex person, they were still deeply moved by her music.
There's something about that vulnerability and authenticity
Right.
that just cuts through all the noise. It creates a connection that goes beyond words, beyond understanding every single detail of someone's life. It's just raw human emotion.
You got it. And as she shared her music more and more, she started to build this community around her.
Yeah.
A community of people who resonated with her honesty, with her unique perspective.
So what happened when she released her first album? Was it like a success?
It was a turning point for her, for sure. The article describes it as a deeply personal album, a raw and unfiltered expression of her life as a transgender and intersex artist. And the response was overwhelming.
Wow.
People from all walks of life, from all over the world, connected with her music on a deeply emotional level.
That must have been so validating for her,
It was.
especially after facing so much, negativity and doubt.
Yeah. It was a moment of recognition, of realizing that her vulnerability, her willingness to share her story, had touched so many lives.
That's the beautiful thing about music.
It is.
It can build bridges between people, help us understand experiences that might be different from our own. It creates empathy.
Exactly. And as her success grew, she became this symbol of hope and resilience for others,
Yeah.
especially for young transgender and intersex artists who were, struggling to find their own voices.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's so inspiring. But I'm curious, with all these real artists doing such incredible work,
Yeah.
why focus on like a fictional one like Raven? What's the takeaway for our listeners?
I think it's about highlighting those universal themes that run through so many of these artists' experiences,
Yeah.
The struggle for acceptance, the power of self-expression, the importance of finding your voice. Raven's story might be fictional, but it really captures the essence of what so many real artists are going through.
It's like she embodies the shared experiences of a whole community.
Exactly.
Okay, so moving back to the 10 albums we talked about earlier.
Uh-huh.
The article ends by talking about, like, the lasting impact these artists are having on the music world. It even says they're redefining what art can be.
And I think that's a really important point.
Yeah.
These artists are challenging the status quo, not just with their identities, but with their music itself,
Okay.
They're blending personal experiences with universal themes in a way that's, like, both innovative and deeply moving.
Can you give an example? Like, how does that actually play out in the music?
Sure. Take Anoni, for instance.
Okay.
She's using electronic music, a genre often associated with, the dance floor,
Right.
to address serious issues like climate change and war.
Right.
That's a bold move, and it forces us to rethink our ideas about what certain genres are supposed to be about.
It's like she's taking something familiar and turning it on its head, making us confront these issues in a completely new way.
Exactly. And then you have someone like 𝗧𝗓𝗓, whose music is this incredible tapestry of gospel, blues, and soul.
Yeah.
Genres deeply rooted in history, struggle, resilience.
Right.
And she's using them to tell her story, to connect her personal journey to this broader narrative of overcoming adversity.
So it's about taking those traditional forms and infusing them with new meaning, with contemporary experiences.
You got it. It's about pushing the boundaries of what music can express, what stories it can tell, and who gets to tell the...
And speaking of pushing boundaries, the article keeps encouraging readers to, connect with more LGBTQIA+ artists. It even suggests that TATANKA might be a good resource for that.
Yeah, it seems like they're really passionate about amplifying these voices.
Which is awesome.
It is.
It really makes me wonder, like, what other artists or genres are out there pushing boundaries and making us rethink what music can be? There's a whole world of sound waiting to be discovered.
That's a great question to ponder. And it leads us perfectly to our final thoughts for today. So as we wrap up this deep dive into these incredible albums and Raven's and inspiring journey, what's the one thing you hope our listeners walk away with?
After exploring all these different artists, hearing those unique sounds, I think it comes down to this. Music just has this power to transcend boundaries.
I love
Like,
that.
it doesn't matter what genre it is, what identity the artist embodies, or even, like, our own preconceived notions of what music should be, It just connects with us on a human level.
It really does. And it's not just about the artist, right? They're reminding us that everybody has a story to tell. And music gives those stories a platform.
Yeah, totally.
It lets people share their experiences, the joys, the struggles, and connect with others who might be going through something similar.
It's like this giant sonic tapestry,
Yeah.
woven together with threads of, like, vulnerability, resilience, self-expression.
Beautifully put.
And it just keeps evolving, growing richer with each new voice that joins the chorus.
And speaking of new voices, I think it's a good time to circle back to that question you asked earlier
Oh, yeah.
about what other artists or genres are out there pushing boundaries, changing how we understand music.
It really is a question worth thinking about. I mean, we've just scratched the surface here with these 10 albums and Raven's story.
There's so much more out there.
There's a whole universe of sound to explore. So
Yeah.
to our listeners, I challenge you, go on your own sonic adventure. Dive into genres you've never heard before, seek out artists who are breaking the mold, and be open to being surprised, You never know what musical gems you might unearth.
And hey, if you're an LGBTQIA+ artist yourself, remember TATANKA seems really passionate about supporting and promoting diverse voices, right?
Right.
Maybe they're the perfect place to share your music with the world.
Great point. Who knows, maybe you'll be the next artist featured on our deep dive. Until then, keep exploring, keep listening, and keep the music playing.